Welcome to the Journal Editorial Report. I'm Paul Gigot. A positive step. That's how presumptive GOP nominee Donald Trump and House Speaker Paul Ryan described their meeting on Capitol Hill Thursday. In a joint statement, the two said they were totally committed to unifying a divided Republican Party ahead of the November election. But both men acknowledged that the process could take some time.
This is our first meeting. I was very encouraged with this meeting, but this is a process. It takes a little time. You don't put it together in 45 minutes.
I don't mind going through a little bit of a slow process. It's a very big subject. I mean, we have a lot of things, and I think for the most part we agree on a lot of different items, and we're getting there.
Joining the panel this week, Wall Street Journal columnist and deputy editor Dan Henninger, Potomac Watch columnist Kim Strassel, associate editorial page editor James Freeman, and Best of the Web Today columnist James Toronto. So, James, how much of this sweetness and light is real, and how much tension still exists behind the scenes?
Well, I think the real tension is the tension between the supporters of these two men, the Trump supporters who can't stand Washington, and the Ryan supporters who
can't stand Trump.
Can't stand Trump, think he isn't a real conservative, and so forth. And so I think this is a negotiation between the two of them that is whose ultimate objective is to bring their followers along reluctantly. And from that standpoint, it's important that the negotiation not take place too quickly. Imagine if Ryan had come out last week and said, well, Trump is the nominee, I endorse him. He would have been viewed by these conservatives as a sellout, and his endorsement would be worth a lot less.
Well,
so they have to...
But wait a minute. Okay, I take your point, but there's some philosophical differences here, James, profound, between Ryan and Trump on trade, foreign policy, immigration. We can't. Is that going to emerge later on?
I would argue that there are not deep philosophical differences, because I think what you have with Ryan is a philosophical conservative for limited government. I think with Trump you have a non-ideological candidate. So where they do have things in common, they both think Washington needs to get off the back of business. That means lower taxes, less regulation. Obviously, they have a lot of differences on trade and immigration. I would hope that this discussion allows Ryan to pull him a little bit that way, but they agree on the fundamental idea, which is you've got to get the American economy growing like it used to.
But also on political style, Dan.
Yeah.
Ryan has rhetoric that's inclusive. He wants to reach out. He wants to expand the party, reach out to minorities. Trump, well, we know his caustic style, his attack style. I mean, you know, we know in private that Donald Trump can be very charming, because we've met with him in private, and no doubt he was in that meeting. But do you ever think there's going to be a Ryan-Trump condominium?
Well, one would hope so, because I think the short answer of what they said after that meeting is the Republican Party, a major political party, is not unified, all right?
Right.
And I think it goes beyond merely the supporters out there in the country. Paul Ryan represents all the members of the House that have to stand for re-election, and about 7 Republican senators whose seats are at risk. And their position is now either I'm behind Trump, I'm against Trump, or I don't know whether to support him or not. That's a confused Republican Party running against Democrats who are going to be united and energized running against Donald Trump. So I think the Republicans are on their back feet right now because of this disunity.
Kim, what about the point that James Toronto made, that some of Paul Ryan's supporters are inclined and are already saying, sell out, how dare you, you're damaging your reputation, by even associating with Donald Trump and appearing to say, you know, things are moving forward?
Look, I mean, I think this is a very Paul Ryan thing that he has done. You look back over his entire history in the House and as Speaker, this is a guy who's known for bringing along members of his conference to issues that are difficult sometimes for them to get behind. He's a very reform-minded politician. And my view is that probably part of this was set up as an opportunity to get to know Trump and maybe potentially the first opportunity to present to Trump, who, by the way, has run a fairly isolated campaign outside of Washington,
right,
not only to sort of say, look, these are our concerns. This is what we're facing as an electoral pressure out there. We need you to be aware, and these are some of the issues that our followers have, and maybe try to sort of pull him along in an optimistic way.
And the self-interest of Ryan James here, political self-interest, is what?
Well, he doesn't want to throw the election, as some conservative intellectuals would like the Republicans to do. He wants the Republican Party to be unified, to win. he's going to do better under President Trump, even if they don't agree on everything, than he's going to do under President Hillary Clinton, which would be, as he's put it, another 4 years of Obama.
And he wants to prevent a wipeout, Republican wipeout. If Trump does as poorly as the polls suggest, some polls suggest he might, then you don't want to lose the House, because it's the only barrier against a progressive government like 2009 and 2010.
Right, and along the lines we were talking about, I think conservatives could get pretty comfortable thinking about what a Ryan-Trump partnership would lead to. But hey, this blowout stuff, we looked at Trump's sky-high negative ratings over the last year. All of a sudden, you look at some of these polls, Quinnipiac, he's ahead in Ohio. We're going to get to that.
One poll. Yeah,
but,
okay.
But this may be all of a sudden a much closer race than people expected.